Aspirations Education, your caring partner. Visit us at Aspirations Education Private Limited.
A very good morning indeed. It's the 29th of July 2013. My name is Banu Vikramasinghe on yet another glorious episode of GMSL. It's Good Morning Sri Lanka. Wherever you are, as long as you are underneath the sun in this beautiful island called Sri Lanka, we wake you up with a bang, and that's what we do really good. And just as usual, we've got a really current topic in the world today of office environment, and I think I'm going to have a great time today because we've got two gorgeous ladies on the set, and pardon me, three gorgeous ladies, and that includes my co-host Amaya. Good morning.
Good morning, Banu. Thank you for that lovely introduction. I think everyone just woke up and got out of bed and they're like, whoa,
I wanted
who's
to
this
do
on TV? But yeah, like you said, we do have a very interesting show today, and a show that's very relevant to what everyone's going through in their workplaces, and this is about minimizing workforce conflict while maximizing productivity. And wouldn't we all like to do that? So to help us really get some advice, professional advice about how we can go about doing this, we have, like you mentioned, two beautiful ladies on the set. So let me introduce them. We have Loretta Gunawardana, good morning, who is a corporate training consultant, and she specializes in communication, which is very important. So thank you very much for being on the show. Good morning.
You're welcome.
And we also have Roseanne Kure. Now she is the founder of Forte, which is a business psychology consultancy, and she has been doing this for a while now, and we are very happy to have her on the show as well. So good morning, Roseanne.
Good morning.
And welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So how has your morning been so far?
Very good.
All right. So let's get to the nitty-gritty, shall we, Banu?
Yes, of course. It's going to be great, I'm sure. It's going to be one hell of a journey today. And Loretta, welcome back to the show. Long time no see, but finally back together. How do you feel coming back to Good Morning Sri Lanka today?
Well, I loved seeing the familiar faces and felt like home.
Of course. And we talked about change. That was our first ever topic on Good Morning Sri Lanka, the newer season. But today we're going to, as Amaya said, we'll be talking on workplace conflict, etc. So the first question is going to be, what are the common causes of workplace conflict? And I'm going to throw that question to Loretta to start off with.
Right, conflict. At the moment, after having trained so many years, I think about 19 years in Sri Lanka, and trained about 50 odd companies with very many professionals, I realize that the biggest cause at the moment is communication. It's dealing with communication and a lot of emotion, I would say, because very often we've gone through 30 years of war, and people coming back into the corporate world, I felt that there was an impact. So as a result, they come into work and they're very sensitive, and the way they communicate, sometimes miscommunication is one of the biggest causes of conflict, I would say.
Of course. And is this something that everyone experiences in the workplace, or can you really control the situation by adjusting your attitude? Can we say that a friendlier person is able to avoid conflict as opposed to someone who is more introverted and who gets into more or extroverted actually and gets into conflict more often? So is this something that's common for everybody, or can you control it using your personality? Anyone can take up the ball.
Okay. Loretta mentioned something really important, that is the communication, and that is the behavior that you see from outside. I would also put this down to conflict mainly in terms of a person's needs. So when there are conflictual needs or incompatibility in needs of a person, values of a person or two people, or even the perspectives of two different people, because we use different windows through which we look at the world. And because of that, when there is incompatibility, you think, well, this person doesn't agree with me. But that doesn't necessarily go to say that they are two very different people, but it just says they look at the same problem in very different angles. So I would say, answering your question, some people are better equipped in terms of dealing with conflict, especially in terms of personality. I would put that down to self-esteem and also self-regulation, how emotional management, how good they are in managing their emotions, and more than anything, I think how much of awareness they have about themselves. That is crucial and that is key in terms of dealing with conflict.
Of course, because at the end of the day, it is about the perspective, isn't it? You think you're right, but the other person thinks they're right. So where do you come to a mutual agreement and say, okay, this is the best thing going forward? So how do you do that? How do you identify the real cause of a conflict? How do you put aside your own views and ideas and get to the bottom of the matter? Okay. Loretta?
I think when you look at so many areas of so many different types of people, it all depends, as she says, it's each one's perspective in life about different issues. But having said that, I think it's all to do with, I believe it's attitude. So I think conflict is imminent. It's there. So it's how you face it that matters.
But how do you actually identify if you are the cause of the conflict yourself? I think a level of awareness should be given to yourself. You need to know where does the conflict start from. How do you really put that and your thoughts about that? If you are the real cause of the conflict and the occurrence of the start.
I think you need to, this is now being researched a lot about self-awareness and how in leadership roles it's so important that you have to be aware of who you are, what your values are, and more than anything, the intention behind your behavior. And sometimes we really don't know what the intent is. We just go with the wave. We just do things because everyone else is doing. We don't stop to ask ourselves, why am I doing this? Why is this important to me? And that's a good place to start in terms of why I am feeling upset or worked up because of this. Why am I worked up about this whole issue? So that point of awareness, I think, is very crucial.
But right at the moment we're speaking about conflict in a very negative sense, but there is a positive way of dealing looking at conflict as well, isn't it? Because that's the way to go forward. So if I say that conflict is always a bad thing that should be avoided, that would be a false statement, wouldn't it? Loretta, if you could
I think
the positive aspect of it.
If you look at conflict in certain angles, like it's actually sometimes critical thinking. Sometimes new fresh ideas are very welcome in the corporate world. It is welcome, but it's how your superiors take it, and it's how you actually communicate the idea to the superiors. So all that matters as well. So I believe conflict is actually you can look at it in a very positive angle, because it is very constructive at the same time.
Of course. And when you're hiring somebody for your corporation, now you specialize in that as well, you know something about whom to hire for an organization and not, but how do you look at someone and find out whether they'll be able to work with the people in your organization and whether they have the right attitude? What are the marks that you should look out for, or the characteristics?
Well, at this moment it's all about body language, and then you have a lot of behavioral interviewing. So you basically ask questions which are very relevant as to attitude, and then you basically give them questions where they have to identify what type of a person you are. So there are different types of people in the world, so when they answer, you get an idea of what type of attitude they have. Basically you're looking for someone who's very flexible.
Of course, and flexibility is the key word, I guess. So we'll be speaking to them more about how to minimize workplace conflict and to use it to maximize productivity.
And we'll be talking about newbies as well to office after the commercial break. We need to have a short break though, but we'll be back on Good Morning Sri Lanka to talk to these girls here. Exactly. So how office newbies work out. Whenever you get an opportunity to go out to the real world, how do you really face across this problem? We'll be right back.
And you're back with us on the show now. Today we are speaking about how to minimize workplace conflict, and this is something that's very important, especially if you're just starting out. You've gone through the interview process, you've been recruited, and now it's time to join the big game and go into the corporation. And about that first impression as you walk through the doors of what's going to be your new place of work, what are the things that people should keep in mind always? Because sometimes there's going to be a lot of judgment based on the first impression that you make. So how can you make the most effective first impression so that everyone is engaged and they know what you're about and they like your attitude? Loretta?
All right, the first impression is crucial when you walk into the company. I believe in that because I feel that as you walk in, especially they're saying, oh, there's someone new here, and they all look at your face basically because it's 55% is based on your face. So I believe if you are joining a company, I think it's all to do with your facial expression, your posture, the way you talk, the way you even dress, and maybe even the first good morning or hi and shaking hands, all that comes into effect. Though people think it's a very minute detail, I don't believe in that. I think the first impression is important, and to make things easier, I would say that they should try and smile with everyone and give an air of, right, I'm going to join you guys, I'm happy to join you guys.
So I've heard there is a word called a moment of truth, the first 15 seconds. Do you believe in that?
I do.
You do?
Yes,
what about
I
you?
do.
I do too.
And how important, Roseanne, is this initial impression to lay the foundation to have a smooth time in your workplace afterwards?
Whether we like it or not, we need to admit that we do make judgments. Every time we say somebody, every time somebody walks in, you make a judgment. Very intuitively, very unconsciously. So if you at the very beginning leave room or leave this openness to other people, that you're a friendly person, that you smile, and you also display some social skills. So you don't wait for other people to come and talk to you, but you also go and talk to others and say hi or where they are from. That gives you an enormous opportunity later onwards for people to get to know you better. So adding on to what Loretta said at the beginning, as much as you need to be friendly, I think you need to be real and authentic. So you can't go in there just because it's your first day and just say hi and just have a very fake smile, or whatever you say or do, it has to be genuine, because people, human beings, are very good in picking these things.
Of course.
And judging someone else.
And picking these things to see whether they're actually genuine or not. And the worst thing that can happen to you is that later onwards you would then behave in a way that is contradictory to your first impression. You should never do that. You need to be real all the time.
Of course. And that's how people click with you, and you can get along with everyone in your workplace. But as you enter, there is a tendency to be bullied and to be given a lot of work, and everyone's just trying to test you out. There's a lot of testing going on. But how do you draw the line between having a no-nonsense attitude that says you can't just mess around with me, but also not looking high and mighty and like someone is on their high horse? How do you keep that balance between having a no-nonsense attitude but still not appearing proud and offhand? Loretta?
Well, I think again, sometimes what I think is in every company there is a certain culture. So beforehand, before your interview, you would have done a lot of research on each company, and you understand basically what type of culture you're moving into. So if you have done a lot of research on your company that you're going to join, you basically know how to behave as you walk in. Having said, I mean, what Roseanne said was true, you've got to be real, but at the same time, I feel from past experience, there have been people who've gone with this attitude of thinking, right, I'm very qualified, I've got it all, and you guys are way below me, and they've had it really hard, and they've moved on so fast. Like I've had people whom I've trained, and within months when I asked them what happened, they said, no, I really didn't click with the team, and they moved on. So that again is that can be difficult. So that's why I tell most people whom I train, I said, take people who are flexible, who can, okay, real you, yes, but in this big corporate world, flexibility I think is crucial, because at the end of the day you need to learn to